full year. Hot damn. Why would you do this to him? Why? Why did you do this to him? Why? It's not that those books have more parent in them than not. They're just overall very boring. Enough Wheel of Time talk. Brand new series, best of 5 for the semifinals in the bottom right. Has the blue Protoss. It is stats. In the top left is the red Zerg. It is solar. I'm with most people that say, like, skip books 7 through 9 for Wheel of Time. So clearly not done with Wheel of Time talk, but nothing's happening in an early game PvZ. I'm with people who say skip 7 to 9, just, like, read the cliff notes. But reading books 1 through 3 and then the prequel and then skip 4 through 10 or even 4 to 11, are you that you no, you can't do that. You go from skipping, like, what's 2 out of 13? You end up skipping instead of skipping 2 out of 13 books, you skip 7 books? Like, no. Don't suggest people to do that. Anyways. General suggestion. Also, like, I know the original 3 books were meant as a trilogy, but basically he said they were a trilogy because he was not sure he would get funding to continue writing the books. Like, you would never read the first 3 books and be like, yep, that's it. That's done. Trilogy over. That completed the story. So it's like, I would never call them a trilogy except for that little fact. Like, did you know that it was originally supposed to be a trilogy? Just all the parent parts, you miss a good load of good brooding. You miss a lot of really terrible takes on relationships. Like, honestly, Parent and Fail are actually just not good. If anyone looks at that and is like, wow, so romantic, they love hitting each other, I'm gonna be like, what is wrong with you? No. At no point does Jordan even actually, like, you know, describe how bad it is. They don't even get better as time goes on. Parent's solution to the whole problem is to take her over his knee and spank her because for some reason this author really loves spanking. Okay, this author is kind of weird. Anyways. Okay, we got a stalker out, stopping the Overlord from getting in a scout, and that's always even trying. It is going to be the Archon drop here for Dark Shrine. Once again, stats using this neat little pylon placement to put all his technology structures. Solar is getting up to speed, third hatch, all normal stuff. It just now depends on his reaction to something unseen. So, first of all, it's not Stargate. Timing's passed for that one. And I'm sure based off just the Warp Gate timing, he figured that part out. It could still be a Twilight Council. That's the scary part, because he doesn't see how many gas are being taken. Third one actually is being taken. And a fourth one I expect to come soon as well. But it could also be the Archon drop. Now, which one is Solar actually prepared against? The answer right now is basically nothing. Okay, like, breaking GG might have been a mistake, like a straight-up mistake, because he actually got a scout. Yeah, he thinks it's the Adepts. Yep. That third being taken at that time, I'm pretty sure was just literally to stop the Overlord from determining it's not the Adepts. Or should I say the fourth not being taken was there to say it's not Adepts. So Solar is doing a very typical reaction to Adepts, the Spine Crawler plus 1 Spore Crawler. I think you realize with the gas going down and there not being that many Adepts that it is actually DTs. So he slapped down 2 more Spore Crawlers to cover every base. And that was a little horrifying. That was a little scary. Solar with a good surround with his Lings and the Spore Crawler managed to take a bit of damage, but not a whole lot. Not game-ending damage. The DTs, and now they're going to turn to Archon drop. But Solar still did have to have like a panicked emergency reaction. Like his build is not flawless here. That was not a flawless defense. The layer is on the way as well. Oh no, no, oh no. Stats not canceling that Nexus. I'm not sure what he was paying attention. Ah, he was morphing in his DTs. Oh, terrible timing right there. He was morphing in his DT, so he doesn't cancel the Nexus. He doesn't save his 2 pylons. That was a lot of lost minerals. 600 minerals lost. Whoa, did not skip any books? No, definitely skip books 7 through 9. I mean, if you want. I would suggest it. Oh, shut up, Teo. I see what you did there. Shut up. Ah. Books. How old are those books now at this point? 30 years old? Archon drop, gonna have to really do something about making up for this 600 loss over here. 600 minerals down, plus the units that died too. The Archons have to kill, well, at least 6 Overlords. And that doesn't still account for the whole delayed mining and pro production and... Solar should still be feeling pretty good at this game, even though, like, I mean, I guess it is one of those weird things where because Solar's defense wasn't very perfect, like, that was actually kind of making up for that. But I still feel like that was so brutal for Stats to lose out on. Overseer coming in here to see how quick a follow-up could be. Is he going to move out with +1? Maybe. Warp Prism still doing its thing. Still pretty healthy. Spire's on the way. Did they get any scouting on that? Hello, Spire. Where are you? It's the 3rd base, so no scouting on the Spire whatsoever. If Stats were to move out with +1, which seems like he might just do here, no immediate +2 anyways, then he should hit maybe before the mutas can like safely be made. Solar, with all the scouting he just did, now has to say, like, oh, can I make them or can't I? And it looks like he says he can make them. That Ling just scouted the actual physical move out of the army, though, and is he going to regret it? That is a question. Blink is done. That's just got revealed there. Lots of Stalkers, but Solar just bought an extra 20 seconds, probably, with this Ling run by. Stat's going to go ahead and just keep a couple of units back here to deal with this, because he knows he needs to actually attack. He needs to get this going before Ravagers are formed, or in this case, before the mutas can pop out and start threatening his Warp Prism before he actually gets situated here. And the mutas are not even going to try and go for anything on this side of the map. They are going to immediately counter, and Solar has to hope that his Roaches and Ravagers hold on. That might be a difficult thing to hope for. It looks like a decent number, though, to be honest. I mean, despite investing like 700 minerals and gas into mutas, it looks like he has enough to build a sizable Ravager army. Stats does have an upgrade lead, and he won't be able to deal with these mutas too effectively. You also have Lings back in that 3rd base, so Stats is pretty darn all in here, but can he make it work? Guardian Shield, Archons on the front line, Warp Prism is way off to the side, not even being used at all right now with Stats. This is a bit of a disaster, I think. Okay, now he's going to be using it, but he's already lost most of his Archons. 3 Immortals still alive, however. Stalkers actually blink forward aggressively. That is a bold thing to do. Drones are being pulled, Queens are being pulled. Spinecrawler not quite helping out here, but all the probes are dying. Oh, wow. Okay, this actually might work out. The Archon's dead, but the Immortals all survived, and they punched through the Roaches. The Stalkers blinking aggressively, I still think is like a, whoa, calm down there, buddy. But it might just work out. Spore Crawler could help against the Warp Prism a bit. Queen's still alive as well. More drones being pulled here. Solar has 50 drones to lose, guys, before he actually loses this game. Plus, he's bringing back the mutas and the Lings to help out, and Stats will not make this work. GG. actually a Rathia. I was actually thinking about that. In a way, it makes sense that there would be such a heavy divide between women and men in Wheel of Time. I absolutely think that Robert Jordan was just kind of a one-dimensional writer, but in his favor, it worked in his favor because you could also see it as a world defined by men literally going crazy based on their ability. Like they could have had witch powers, basically, guys. People don't read it all the time. They don't. Instead, they go insane. That there would be less. There'd be a heavier divide between the genders, right? That would make sense in a world that literally focuses on the divide of the genders. But I really think Robert Jordan just isn't a very good writer. So, there's that. Oathbringer was a hot pile of garbage, though. So it wasn't my favorite book, but I'm pretty sure most people actually say it's like one of the best. My friends say it's their favorite, which I definitely disagree with. And a lot of the reception online seems to say that it's a very, very good book. I think it's the worst of the three so far, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. I would never call it a hot pile of garbage. You have a very aggressive way with words. Oh my god, Trap's been on the over this entire time. Thanks, Borsty. I definitely didn't notice. The bottom left down one is stats. And the top right is the red Zerg. It is solar. Yeah, 30 years ago still catches me off guard. I think 30 years ago is the 80s, which is not so off. But the 80s is definitely 40 years ago. But it is weird thinking that I'm also almost 30. I'm as old as the Wheel of Time books. Can't believe you compared Fael to Shallan. Oh, God. Any comparison that doesn't, in the middle, say they are nothing like each other is wrong. I'm not saying that Brandon Sanderson is the best writer either, and he has his own issues with writing women characters, but that is not comparable. Yeah, righty Roo. So really quick scout from stats. It's the only interesting thing. I don't think it was 13 probe scout, but it was still pylon scout. Didn't get any hatch block anyways. Third hatch on the way for solar. Solar with the Spire made it work out. Had he not bought those extra 15-20 seconds with the Lings, I do wonder if he would have had enough Ravagers, because obviously the Mutas, he'd already planned to use them. He already built them, he planned to use them aggressively, but I wonder if he would have had enough Ravagers. You know, it's one of those things where if there was 10 less Ravagers, 10 less Roaches, either one, like, is there enough left over that even Solar coming back with a drone pool, would that have been enough? I'd say probably, just because time was so much more on Solar's side, but yeah, we'll know. It went the way it did, which ended with Solar very convincingly taking a fight. He had 50 extra drones to pull if he needed to. The run by, especially coupled with the mutas, was pretty brutal. Stats gonna go for another Archon drop. He's gonna go ahead and show second gateway actually. Oh no, it's not the Archon drops. The Resident Glaives. Much faster robo than I would expect with this. I thought the robo started later. But apparently not. What's kind of nice about this is that last game he was able to take the 3rd, then the 4th gas, which threw off the Overlord scouting of the 4th gas. Not 4th gas could mean Adepts. I mean, it's trickier than that because, like, what if both gases weren't taken? It was actually a charge out all in. Like, oh, Solar's totally dead. But if it is not the 4th, then maybe it's the 3rd. If it is the 3rd, it's Resonant Glaives. It seems to be the way the Protoss builds have been lining up. So in this case, when Solar double checks that 4th gas, he's going to be like, oh, Archon drop again? And then he's going to check it again and be like, wait, it's still not being taken. Hold on here. Roach Warren, Spore Crawler, no Spine this time, which we have seen many Zergs respond to the Adepts attack with. Just that one Spine Crawler helping enough so that if they shade a different direction than you expect, hopefully it helps out. At this point now, seeing all the Adepts being warped in, Solar knows. Okay, it's going to be the Adept attack. Spine Crawler or no. Spore Crawlers or no. He actually moved this one forward, yeah. He does have a decent number of Lings already. He was preparing to slap down the Archon drop. And the Lings are sometimes that first defense, right? Now, that's not the only defense. I have to be careful about this. If he actually engages unfavorably, the Adepts will rip through them. But this might be good enough. A Queen's also providing a lot of extra damage. The Adept Shade will go through into the natural, and more Adepts are going to be made from the Warp Prism. Some Roaches are on the way. Spine Crawler's on the way. But there goes the target fire. Target tire. On top of the drones. And another shade into the main base. Solar initially getting a good handle on these Adepts. Getting them so low as well. And started to lose out in the drones. 10 going down. More Adepts trying to do more damage. But I think if he only loses 10, maybe 15 max, I think he's still okay. But he really needs to get that drone count up. He built so many Lings to stop this from happening. And had a convincing start to the push, too. That's still losing 10 drones is a real heartbreaker. Stats is a 3rd Nexus behind this and is up 11 workers. So, like, Solar, I think he was... No, okay, I'm not sure what that was, but it looked like he was going to drone and said, wait, no, let me just attack. No, wait, no, let me drone. He did both, and now he's back on droning. But he really needs to drone hard if he hopes to catch up. And he makes 14 more Lings. So is he going to all in? Is this actually the decision? He's going to all in. No lair on the way. No more drones officially at this point. He is going to all in. He thought he took too much damage. 10 did seem pretty bad. I mean, usually I'd look at that as how many Adepts were being dedicated and be like, yeah, that's okay, right? But for Solar, the other option to just drone hard, it is there. That's not the option he's going for. He's going to try and all in, but both are maybe not going to work. We'll see. Stats could try and just give up the Nexus, and we go back to a weird kind of even game where both have limited economies. Or he could try and hold this, but if he's going to try and hold it, then I think a couple of shield batteries might be in order. Stop producing probes, that's for sure. Blink +1, not going to help in this fight. Adepts are going to see the Lings running across. At least they thought they did. Sentry force fields away the Roaches, but the Ravagers break through easy peasy. And Stats, he's getting jumped on, man. He has no proper positioning for his army, so I think this was a surprise to him. The Lings especially grabbing the Immortals before the Warp Prism can come back home might just mean Stats dies. 3 Immortals are still pretty darn healthy, very alive here, and more Stalkers and Adepts are being warped. He's going to go ahead and pull the probes to try and help out here. The Ling numbers have been cold. Mostly just Ravagers left over, and Probes runs are going to be good enough, but... Alright. Stats will take game number 2. Holding on. Solar's desperate all-in did not work out. It looked more promising than I expected. Stats actually seemed like he had flubbed the positioning. And he was, in emergency mode. But the Warp Prism coming back was really nice. Oh no, the Sanderson series all do absolutely blend together. He definitely has his character archetypes that he just uses over and over again. I've read a lot of his series as well. Same character, different name and appearance, basically. I mean, Oathbringer is the worst Sanderson novel. I think Oathbringer is still better than any of the, shit, what is it called? The one where you ingest the metals and it does stuff. I think Oathbringer is better than any of those books, which are basically just young adult fiction that is stereotypical and the book version of a soap opera. Or a sitcom. I'm going to say a sitcom with a laugh track. Easily watchable, but not necessarily artistic. This must see Protoss do really well. It's a mostly Protoss bracket. You can't really complain for this one. And stats did just take that game. Golden Wall for game number 3. Bottom right, it is the Blue Protoss stats. And the bottom left, Red Zerg Solar. I love that my intermissions are just talking about books. Every 10 or so minutes I get to respond.
Thank you for appeasing the Overmind.
And start the discussion all over again. Thank you, Xroku Starcraft, Xroku SC for the Twitch Prime sub. Or Xroku SC. That's how I'm reading it anyways. That's what I'm sticking with. My one cat is going crazy. And my other cat is calmly watching him from above. They're a true pair right there. Paula's just like, what is you doing? Yeah, it's so cute when your cats actually like you. Generally, cats that are like a household cat, not a feral cat, they like being around the humans, even if they don't actually like stay on your lap or anything. But you always see them like off in the corner of the room or watching you from the steps or something. Yesterday or the day before, Saturday was so hot. It actually made TSL a little bit worse with how hot it was. But it was so hot because my air conditioning hasn't been put in yet. And my cats were basically melting. Okay? So they were like sleeping on the tiles, you know, where it was the coolest. But I noticed that no matter how hot it got, they didn't go into like my bedroom, for instance, which was actually kind of cool with the window open. They always stayed near me. And I was like, oh, you guys like me. Mistborn! That's what it was. Mistborn is delightful. Friends is delightful. But if you compare it to, I don't know, because I'm watching it recently, Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is really a true feat of just like animation and storytelling and character development. Friends is nothing. And I really like Friends. Alright, Archon drop. Back to the Archon drop. It's so funny, I always thought of Stats as more of a Stargate player, kind of along the lines of like Trap in PvZ, but we have no Stargate openers in this series so far. He just flip-flopping between these two builds, and they can be tricky to scout the difference of one or the other. Obviously, the Dark Shrine being scouted is the biggest difference, but the timing of the Robo and then the timing of the gases. So, Solar's never one to really try and get thorough scouting, though, is like one thing I've certainly noticed about Solar's play. He almost never has like a second Overlord in position to get a second scout or see anything on like the tail end of the, the base. He almost never suicide scouts his Overlord, and it feels like he almost never gets Overlord speed, even when it was super in fashion. He's always depending on whatever this one Overlord sees in this one location, even if the map isn't particularly good for the Overlord scouts. Like, this one doesn't see anything, basically. And yet, he doesn't care. He still is going to defend against, 3 different options. Because the Stargate option is gone. So, Adepts, Archon drop, charge it all in, I guess? I don't know. DTs do find a couple of queens that are not protected by a Spore Crawler yet, but oh no! Oh no! Well, that was good on Solar to turn that around. He trapped the DTs that so forced the Warp Prism to come to save them, and immediately took down the Warp Prism. Now, Stats did respond as quickly as possible with a recall, but that was not a good start. He only had 1 Adept get recalled out, and having to remake 3 of them, also remaking the Warp Prism, losing all of that time that the Zerg player has to think about the Archon drop harassing him. Audible cat meow. Ziggy's a loud meower, guys. There's a subreddit that's called Cats Who Yell, and I'm pretty sure this game's over. GG. So, I didn't even realize it. Solar had been mining out the back, and Stats also mined out the back. That happened. What was I gonna say? Oh, I'm pretty sure I could get Ziggy upvoted. Pretty sure he belongs in that subreddit, but you guys should hear him when I feed him. Ziggy! Don't you dare. Don't you dare climb those drapes. Ziggy! What are you even doing? No. No. You guys can't see his face, but he's like... You know what's gonna happen. You're gonna be picked up. This is your punishment. Here's a little cuddle. What? You want attention, don't you? He's like, not this type of attention. No! No! Stat says, please nerf Queen attack range. Solar puts a billion question marks. You know, it's funny. In some ways, I actually think Korean banter happens more often and is more enjoyable. Which, you know, doesn't make any sense because I don't read enough Korean anyways. But it's like the rest of them, you know, we talked about this on Saturday, me and Wardy. It's like maybe because everyone is like memeing on each other in Discord chat channels and stuff, and the Korean players only talk to each other either one-on-one through Kakao, like their personal friends, or through Battle.net. We see so much more bants between the Korean players. And usually we have Crank here to translate at the very least, but oh well. Not this time. I could try reading that, but nah, nothing I recognize. In the top right, as the red Zerg, it is Solar. And in the bottom left, down 1, he is Stats. I think it was a lion in a previous life. Lions are far too lazy. I don't know what the scout was. What's something that's super loud and super hyperactive? A fox in heat? I don't know. I was a king, I tell you. That would be Ziggy. Anytime I think of Ziggy, I just imagine him just yelling out into the darkness. To anyone who will listen. Listen to me! I'm starving! I haven't been fed in hours! No! Please no deer noise. Oh, Jesus. For a second, I was wondering what's happening. I had seen the initial controversial clip, and I didn't listen to the audio because I don't hate myself. And I thought it was a cat thing, and then I realized that people were saying, like, deer to refer to this incident, and I realized now that that was what she was mimicking. But yeah, that's a whole thing that's happening. This gigantic controversy that just should never have been there in the first place. Like, oh my god. It's actually so controversial as well. Like, I hesitate to even bring it up. The Twitch Council thing, for those who know what that is. And if you don't, you can Google it, but... only if you're really interested in the Twitch dramas. And only if you're prepared to have that thing happen where people have valid criticisms and then the louder minority jump on those valid criticisms and use it as an excuse to be an absolute asshole. You know, if you're prepared for that, then go ahead and read into it. But if you're not, then leave it alone. Fairly sure he wrote sub to the grub in Korean. Yeah, absolutely. Alright, the Zerglings were trying to tackle these rocks, so they're a little late, maybe, to responding to the Adept, but Stats is already out of there. Resident Glaives. Beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop. He's literally just beeping, bopping between Archon Drops and the Resident Glaives. If you guys want to know how to do either one of these builds, congratulations. You're going to have at least 4 games to determine which ones you like better, and how exactly to do the builds as well. If you mess up the first time, you see it again here. GG. And it is the 4 gates. I guess we have to always remember that there's like a super all-in version, but it's just so not popular to do that anymore. It almost, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the reasoning that the all-in 7, 8 gateways, whatever it is, like, version that we used to see, if we ask, like, why don't you guys do it anymore? They'd just be like, well, why bother? The 4 gates are so much better. Seems that way. All the potential aggression and the scariness of Adepts combined with macro. Scary, scary. Solar once again just limited to this Overlord scouting. Got a fake 4th gas this time. But the Overlord wasn't even really close enough to see if that was fake or not. Well, mining or not, rather, I should say. So it really was a very effective fake. So I'm trying to explain. This doesn't mean that Solar is necessarily totally unprepared. Once again, he is missing that Spine Crawler. That seems to be the preference of Zergs against this build, but he has a ton of Lings, so very similar to that second game. This round, perhaps even better, though, is the Shade. Oh, no. Oh, that's why he didn't Shade. I was like, well, this time the Shade's not going to go through, so, like, well, is it going to be better or worse? Well, he didn't Shade through because he knew he would kill literally every single Ling, which is actually really devastating, not just because you lost that many Lings, that many would-be drones of the larva. It's also that you have to either rebuild them, which is going to take a little while, or not have them at all, which means the Adepts are going to be able to do they're going to be even more mobile than they are with Shades. And the Roach is going to have a difficult time catching up to them and actually killing them. So, tough choices here as Stats takes the opportunity after killing so many Lings to continue warping in Adepts. I think he might stop soon. Forge and Immortal are on the way, and Third Nexus should be coming down once he stops with the aggression, but No, not soon enough. 4 more adepts. Ooh, and immediately into blink. Okay, alright. There's a ZombieGrub tutorial for this build? Actually, yes, for the adept one there is. Zest's, using it. Ooh, adept's going into the main base, actually. Fully completing the shade. The War Prism's not gonna be able to help them, though, so they got the shade outs immediately. Doing so as soon as it's off cooldown. The roaches just don't kill the adepts very fast, and the lings don't stand up to the adepts in such small numbers when the adepts have resonating glaives. So this is all the complications of adepts that lings can help with. It's not enough numbers anymore. You need the combo. Decent amount of lings, okay number of roaches, finding the adepts, ideally with queens finding the War Prism as well, right? So while the actual drone count hasn't been hit a whole lot, in fact, really not at all, compared to that second game, this lasted a lot longer and killed a lot more army. So there's really no threat of a counter, not one that would really threaten stats. So he's getting into a third Nexus. War Prism is fairly low, so it looks like it did tank with a couple more queens than it should have, but still available for more harassment. Solo did grab a lair and is working on roach speed, so it looks like now, at just under 50 drones, he is sizing up for a big ol' attack. I think stats will be fine against it, though. He'll have +1, blink, a ton of sentry energy. And funnily enough, stats actually is trying to hit his timing. His gateways are a little bit later, but his upgrades are perfect, and this is going to get a little bit awkward. It's what is going to work out better here. Defensively, I think stats is totally okay. But in the middle of the map, things are a lot different. All the upgrades are done. Production's almost finished up as well. Solar has a couple of Ravagers already made, but maybe he was planning on making more before the attack. Force fields come down on both sides. Most of the lings, I mean, they got on top of some of the units, but not killing a whole lot. Most of the force fields are done. With the War Prism available, not being hit by any corrosive biles, they're all using the force fields, means that all the immortals are alive. The right side army of Solar depletes, and the left side, while still alive, might not be enough to actually take this on. In fact, Stats thinks so too, and actually jumps on top of it, dodges out of the corrosive bile, starting to micro his immortals, but the immortals are actually wasting a ton of shots on drones and lings when they should be helping on the left side against the roaches. Stats was trying to jump on top of half the army before the other half got here, but lost the fight and also had lost a third Nexus to the lings. GG. I really think if he had just stayed at home, he's fine. He has to change course and, you know, maybe start +2 and take his gases at his third.